What's up guys, JNO here, and today, with the goal of trying to help you out with your fantasy football teams, I'm going to look at some of the differentials coming up in the next few game weeks that may help you climb up those FPL rankings. Okay guys, so I want to make this very clear, this isn't my look at every single team and every single player and picking out the best differentials from those teams. This is me looking at the 3 teams with the easiest fixtures in the next 5 game weeks, where you can pick a player from that team and hopefully because of the easiness of their fixtures you will pick up some points if you pick the right players. Now if you like the idea of this series continuing, where I try and fit in a video every week where I give you my opinion on players you can put into your team or things you should do in fantasy football, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new. We've just hit over 200 subscribers, so thank you so much guys for the support, and let's get on with the video. Okay, so first of all I'm going to look at Newcastle. Their fixture list is very good at the moment. We have a very extended run of decent games where they could pick up points, and they're fighting for survival at the moment, so they need to step up, and hopefully they'll do it in this run of fixtures. You're looking at them facing Sunderland, Stoke and Bournemouth in the next 3 games, which isn't a death row of opponents. But after that they've also got Leicester and Crystal Palace, games where they could get goals. And it's only in their 6th fixture where they face Liverpool where you'd think maybe they're going to struggle to get some goals in the back of the net. So the 3 players we're going to look at though, and there weren't many players you can look at who have great underlying stats because of the way they've performed recently, is Georgie Wijnaldum, Ayoze Perez and Moussa Sissoko. Now all of these players, the actual ownership is very low. 3.7% of players have Georgie Wijnaldum, 1.1% that have Moussa Sissoko and Ayoze Perez. Goal attempts, Wijnaldum and Ayoze Perez are up there with 12. That's not bad for a team that's struggling. Penalty area touches, 14 to Wijnaldum, but 16 each for Sissoko and Ayoze Perez. Shots on target, and you have to be careful with this stat because it is enhanced by Wijnaldum's 4-goal game last weekend. Wijnaldum has 7, Ayoze Perez has 3, Sissoko has 0. So you're probably looking at Sissoko as an assist maker if you're going to stick him in your team. Goal involvement, they are all over 30%, but Wijnaldum is the highest, probably because he's scored the most. Chances created though, Sissoko is easily up there above the rest. Minutes per chance created, he's got 36.7 minutes per chance created, which is a lot quicker for the other 2 players. But they all have a decent success rate of passes in the final third. Now Wijnaldum, I would say, is the one you have to go for. He looks a class above the other players in his team. His ownership isn't too high where it stops him from being a differential. Not yet anyway, but that could change before game week 10 begins. But I can't really look past Wijnaldum after the performance he had last weekend. Next up is Everton. Now they do have a very difficult fixture coming up against Arsenal, but it is at home. And then after that, they have Sunderland, West Ham and Aston Villa, ending up with Bournemouth. But then the run continues. You've got Crystal Palace, Norwich, Leicester, Newcastle and Stoke. So after that Arsenal game, that's an incredible run of fixtures where they could pick up wins and they're definitely going to pick up goals. Now this is because they've had such a difficult fixture list in the first 10 game weeks, but now that is over, you can definitely look at some Everton players to get into your team. The problem we have is there is only 2 point scoring players potentially that have started the majority of games. Roberto Martinez has seemed to change up his team quite a lot, and there isn't really any other goal scoring threat or assist threat that is very obvious to pick out, because some of them don't have the starts necessary to get those stats up. Players I decided to look at are Romelu Lukaku, Ross Barkley and Stephen Naismith. Now unfortunately Lukaku and Barkley ownership is quite high, and it's only going to get higher when they've got past that Arsenal game. The thing is, they clearly have the best underlying stats and the most security in game time, so that is why their ownership is so high. Everton should do okay in those next run of fixtures, and people that already had him in, they've already scored points, they're going to keep him if they know what the fixture list looks like in the future. Goal attempts is pretty even between Lukaku and Barkley at 28 each. Penalty area touches, of course Lukaku as the man at the top is going to have a lot higher. score in this department. But shots on target, Barkley isn't actually that far behind Lukaku, and his shot accuracy rate isn't that low either. But if you look at goal conversion, Lukaku is up there a lot higher than Ross Barkley is, purely probably because Barkley's shots come from outside the box as well as inside, whereas Lukaku will probably shoot a lot more inside that box. But the thing with Ross Barkley is you're also going to get the potential for assists. Chances created, of course, is a lot higher for Ross Barkley. Minutes per chance created is a lot higher as well, and the successful passes in the final third. But you'd expect that from a midfielder, so you've got to choose the balance between attacking points and those assist points. But both players are probably good shouts. But the differential here is Steven Naismith. Now, he hasn't actually had that many starts, I think it's 5 at the moment, but he does come on as a substitute a lot. And if you look at the underlying stats, there's potential in the next coming fixtures that Martinez may play more attacking, and he could be the difference in your ranking. Goal attempts, he's had 8. Now, we know he had that great game against Chelsea where he scored 2 goals, but his penalty area touches are 14. That's not too bad for the amount of starts he's had. Shots on target, he's had 4, but his goal involvement in Everton's goals when he's on the pitch is 50%. That's incredibly high. So if he does play, he should be involved in the goals in some shape or form. Chances created, he's on 8. It's only 1 less than Lukaku, and he's had a lot less starts. And his minutes per chance created is almost up there with Ross Barkley. Now at 2.9% ownership, there is a couple of people that own him, and it is a bit of a risk because of his game time security, but he could be the difference if you're willing to take that punt and suddenly jumping up the league table. Finally, we look on to Chelsea. Now, some of you have probably already jumped on that bandwagon, got a Chelsea player in, and if you picked Costa, well done. But their next up and coming fixtures are West Ham, then you have Liverpool, then it's Stoke, Norwich, Tottenham, Bournemouth, Leicester, Sunderland and Watford. Now, there are a few difficult fixtures there. Tottenham and Liverpool stand out, but that's a lot of games where they could potentially score a lot of points. I'm worried personally because I think I've already made my decision up for my next transfer, which is Dimitri Payet, and it's against Chelsea, and I still don't have Chelsea coverage, but I'm hoping last week against Villa was just them beating a very weak side and not a resurgence to their previous form. Players I've picked out, and it may surprise you that I've missed out one particular name, Pedro, Diego Costa and Willian. Now, I've left out Hazard because of what Jose Mourinho said in his press conference recently, which is he didn't play him because he didn't think he put in that defensive work and that he needed to improve, and I put these players in instead because I feel like they will play. Now, Willian, of course, is a risk, but I was looking for differentials. If we look, none of these players have over 10% ownership. Now, at the start of the season, if you told me this, I would have told you that you're probably off your mind. Pedro is at 6.1% ownership, Diego Costa at 9.3%, and Willian comes in at 2.7% ownership. Pedro has actually had the most goal attempts, 18, but that may be affected by Diego Costa's ban that saw him taken out of a couple of games. Penalty area touches, Diego Costa has higher than Pedro, but Pedro isn't too far behind considering he's a midfielder. Shots on target is where Diego Costa stands above with 6 to Pedro's 3, and of course his shot accuracy and goal conversion rate are a lot better as well. The telling stat though is Diego Costa has been involved in 30% of the goals that Chelsea have scored when he's been on, whereas Pedro has only been involved in 18.2. Chances created though is where Pedro stands out, but I think if you're going to go with a Chelsea player, Diego Costa probably is the safest shout. If you want to make a difference in your ranking, maybe go for Willian. He's been playing well recently, Mourinho likes him, and he puts in that defensive work, and I think Mourinho right now is going for defensive solidarity. He's had 12 goals, that's not too far behind Pedro, and recently he's only just come into the team, so he didn't have those starts at the very beginning. Penalty area touches is at 22, which is quite high. Shots on target, he's had 4. That's 1 more than Pedro. Shot accuracy is better. Goal conversion rate is better. And his goal involvement is better. Chances created, he's still up there with 12. Minutes per chance, he's actually better than Pedro. Successful passes in the final third, he's higher. And success rate with those passes, he's higher than Pedro. Now, the problem with Willian is, will he play? With the easier fixture list, is Mourinho going to bring back in Hazard? But if Willian can secure a place in the first team, he may be a very big differential that you could have if he gets assists and goals. But of course, it's one of those things, are you going to roll the dice, take that risk, and then maybe reap the awards? Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been your man JNO. On the preview, I will hopefully cover some other differentials that you could maybe go for to boost you up those rankings. And remember, on this channel, it's all about the game.